Welcome to This Explainer. We're diving straight into something pretty wild today. We are going to objectively map out a deeply visceral, highly specific cosmology of the afterlife, drawing directly from a fascinating source text that claims to reveal the hidden mechanics of the underworld. Specifically, we'll be breaking down Chapter 4, titled The Hell Realm I Saw. It's an incredibly detailed look at the spatial structure and the underlying spiritual laws of hell. So let's jump right in and map this out.
Now, to really understand this vast, organized empire of suffering, we got to start at the absolute bottom. So, who is actually running the show down there? The source reveals that the lowest depths aren't just chaotic, random pits of fire. They're actually highly organized syndicates.
Here's our roadmap for the descent. We'll start with the deepest abyss, explore the trap of free will, uncover the hell of lust, witness the descent into the animal realm, and finally, reveal the core law governing the whole thing.
All right, Section 1. The deepest abyss, Lucifer's stronghold.
Picture the very bottom of hell as this massive, twisted corporate headquarters. The guy at the top? Lucifer. And he commands this vast network of subordinate Satans who act like dark branch managers all over the world. But get this, who do you think these dark leaders were when they were alive on Earth? You'd probably guess historical dictators or serial killers, right? Well, actually,
Look at this breakdown. A staggering 70% of these underworld bosses are actually fallen religious figures. Yeah, individuals who were supposed to provide spiritual guidance but completely misled their followers. The rest of the pie is mostly made up of corrupt politicians and military leaders, and the text notes that during earthly wars or violent revolutions, the supply of these dark managers actually spikes, and they end up dragging all their misguided followers right down into the abyss with them. Moving on to Section 2, The Trap of Free Will, Deception in the Abyss.
So here is where it gets incredibly psychological. These fallen leaders, they don't use medieval torture devices or iron chains to keep souls trapped. No, they use intellectual manipulation. They systematically take a soul's earthly cravings, whether that's fame, money, or lust, and they just amplify it. They deploy this chilling philosophical weapon to convince their victims that giving in to those dark urges is actually the ultimate form of liberation.
And this is their ultimate trap, the illusion of free will. The dark entities will literally say this to their victims, telling them, hey, you are a child of God, so you are completely free to do whatever you want. The deception is so deep that these figures will even disguise themselves as angels of light or literally impersonate Jesus Christ just to convince a soul that being completely selfish is some sort of divine right. It's a total, brilliant subversion of faith. Which brings us to Section 3, The Hell of Lust, Violence Disguised as Art.
As we move up just a bit from that absolute bottom abyss, we hit these highly specialized zones. In the Hell of Lust, that twisted concept of freedom we just talked about is practiced with zero restraint, but it's often cloaked as artistic expression. We're talking about people who spent their lives obsessing over capturing base desires. Pornographers, erotic film directors, twisted photographers. They end up here, completely stripped of human dignity. And the ultimate irony? They're trapped in an endless loop, still desperately trying to film and capture these chaotic acts.
Next up is Section 4, Descent into the Animal Realm, Losing Humanity.
Now, this intense obsession with base desires literally bleeds over into an adjacent zone known as the animal realm, and this is where the loss of humanity gets brutally literal. The horrific irony here is just mind-blowing. In their own minds, these souls honestly believe they are beautiful, free, and passionately engaging in acts of human love, but to any outside observer with spiritual sight, they appear as grotesque, writhing monsters. Their delusion is so thick it completely shields them from their own hideous reality.
I mean, humans literally shapeshift into the beasts that match their earthly vices. The author graphically describes seeing souls manifesting as giant male and female snakes completely tangled together, or people literally chasing each other around as pigs and dogs. Depending on their specific corrupted beliefs, or even the regional myths they obsessed over in life, some take the form of foxes, werewolves, or vampires. They've entirely surrendered the dignity of being human just to serve their base instincts.
And finally, Section 5, The Core Law of Hell, the Metaphysics of the Underworld.
So how exactly does a human soul morph into a giant snake? We have to look at the underlying physics of this whole cosmology. The core law here is that hell is absolutely not some physical jail built by an outside punisher. It's an inescapable, highly literal projection of a soul's own corrupted inner state. Your mindset dictates your shape, your surroundings, your entire reality. And according to the text, true faith is literally the only escape hatch from this self-generated nightmare.
Because the spiritual gravity is absolute, the environment is constantly reacting to you. If a soul fully embraces evil, they literally drop like a stone into deeper, pitch-black realms. It gets so intense that some souls become entirely paralyzed by their own dark thoughts. They end up totally immobile, stuck like a solitary reed buried in a dark swamp, completely alone in the void. Which brings us to the end of our explainer on this truly striking vision of the afterlife. When we realize that this cosmology presents a world where every single hidden thought, every secret desire instantly becomes our physical reality, well, it leaves us with a pretty profound and unsettling question. If this core law kicked in for you right now, if your current inner mindset instantly dictated your physical form and environment, what kind of world would you be standing in? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope it gave you a fascinating new perspective on the mechanics of the underworld.